Hey friend, I'm Mike McCurry and you're listening to the Bible Tract Echoes radio broadcast. I'm joined again today by the Director of Operations for Bible Tracts Incorporated, my brother-in-law Austin Marriott. You know, I travel the country in evangelism. I was in about 45 or 60 churches last year. It's looking like, I didn't want to go over 45 this year, but it looks like I'm gonna go over 45 and the Lord opening some doors. But while I'm on the road, sometimes even internationally on really bad roads in Southeast Asia, the ministry of BTI continues on. This is not a one-man show. You've heard me say that before, but today, those of you that are listening in are going to hear the voice of the man that keeps the ministry moving forward. And those of you watching the video version on YouTube will see the man that keeps the ministry going forward, along with our phenomenal office staff and even radio folks like Mark Fries that edit the programs. We've got Matt Pierce in the office, got Todd Lofbaum, does a lot with discipleship and packing these shipments, and Weston Colvin and others. Your wife comes in sometimes to help with different things, Rachel. And so we have a phenomenal team here. Again, it's not a one-man show, but today we're going to talk in just a moment about some of the production details that go into gospel tracts. So many folks, they ask such great questions. I go to churches and they ask great questions about the production. How does all of this work at Bible Tracts? And so we're going to answer a few of those questions. But before we do, let me tell you about a gospel tract. I have in my hand a fairly new gospel tract. It's been around for less than a year. It's called Bound No More. As I travel America and the world, and Austin, you've seen it, even in the ministries you've been a part of, there are so many people that are struggling, bound in the chains of sin. Things that we'd all agree, yeah, that's very addictive, whether it be substances, drugs, maybe it would be immorality, whether it be these days our devices, our phones, all those types of things. But you're probably listening right now and you say, you know what, I've got this besetting sin. I've got this issue I just can't seem to beat. Maybe, I don't want to cause anyone to doubt their salvation, but if you know that you're not on your way to heaven, this gospel tract right here might be for you. Now, I'd love to converse with you. I'd love to connect with you and even maybe connect you with Todd Lofbaum, who does a phenomenal job with these things. You could reach out. I'm going to give you that information in just a moment. But maybe you're a Christian and maybe you go into recovery centers. Maybe you go into prisons. Maybe you go into halfway houses and things like that. This gospel tract would be phenomenal. It was written by a doctor friend of our ministry up in Wisconsin, and he practices medicine, does a phenomenal job, and works in ERs and things like that. And this is a personal testimony that he observed of a young man that was incredibly bound by drugs and how God delivered him from it through salvation. I'd encourage you, go to BibleTractsInc.org. Of course, all of our contact information is there, but BibleTractsInc.org, you can order this gospel tract today. But if you'd like to reach out because you say, you know what, I don't know where I'm going, or maybe you say, I'm pretty sure I'm saved, but I just can't seem to beat this thing, I'd love for you to reach out to me as well. It would be my pleasure to talk to you. You can text me at 309-316-7240. Again, that's 309-316-7240. Honestly, we've had dozens of folks that have reached out that exact same way. Many of them have come to a saving knowledge of Christ through connecting. A man that can't be honest, or a woman that can't be honest, can't be helped. And maybe you've come to the end of yourself and you're tired of fighting. Please reach out. One more time, just in case you missed it, 309-316-7240. Now today we have the opportunity to kind of interview Brother Austin about the production that is Bible Tracts Incorporated. These gospel tracts don't just magically appear on people's front door. And thankfully, there is a long train of people that have a huge hand in making this all possible. And for the last 80 years, we've been putting gospel tracts out. But we've kind of advanced some things with technology and different things like that these days. But we just had a recent order. Actually, we had the lion's share of it delivered just the other day here. It's going to be a total of over 1 million gospel tracts, I think. Maybe starting back, looking at depleted inventory. How do we begin to order gospel tracts, produce gospel tracts? Take us through very quickly that train of production.
Yeah, and so, we, like you mentioned, we have about 50 or so different titles in English, and then we have our different other foreign languages as well. And so we have a system in place with our order, and it's a system that's contained on a computer, and very thankful for that. We don't have to handwrite everything like they probably had to do back in the day, and I'm very thankful for that. It helps us in so much. But we keep track of our inventory, and we check that inventory, and we try to gauge by usage of tracts, because every single tract is ordered differently. There's some are more popular than others, and so
and during different seasons as well. Of course, we have to think like 6 months in advance as well.
Correct. And so we have to make sure that we maintain those things and keep on top of that. And like Micah mentioned, I think it was yesterday, that we really do have a great team here that helps me with that, because I can't do it on my own either. And so they help me with making sure the inventory, they notify me of different things. Hey, this one's starting to get popular. It's really ramping up. And so we're getting, it doesn't seem like we're almost out, but we're coming into this season where we're going to need to order. And so we keep track of that. And then from there, we track and look at the order history, looking at what has started to expand. Just because we're almost out of a track and we look at what we ordered last time doesn't mean that we need to order that same quantity, because that track may have been ordered 3 months ago, or it may have been ordered 2 years ago. And so we need to look at that, and we try to, as much as we are a proponent of quality over quantity, we are also to the same level, if not even more. Mike and I are just we try to the nth degree to be fiscally conservative, and not that we don't spend money, we do, but we try to save as much money as possible. And so because of that, when one track is starting to get depleted, we don't just fire up our printer here in house and say, okay, print off another, we need 10,000 of these and we're going to print them right now. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes you think, oh, well, yeah, you just, hey, we're running, I want this track and you're running low, so just print it. And we can do that, but the cost is just so much more. And a way that we look at things here granularly, excuse me for my language, but is a cost per piece. We look at every single track and what does that track cost for every single one. And if you're at all familiar with the print world, and if hopefully this doesn't get too boring for you, but when you print something, if you print 10 of it, the cost per piece is significantly higher than if you're going to print 10,000 of it. And the reason for that is sometimes it doesn't make sense. Literally, there's times we have looked at things and we have wanted to order 1,000 of them, and just to be aware, we've clicked on, well, let's see what 2,000 is, and it is literally say 1,000, just for an example, is $150. 2,000 might be $200, and so it's so insignificantly less per piece. It only makes sense to order the higher quantity, and so we are aware of that, and so we try to think those things through. And with tracts, we're not talking in the hundreds to thousands. We're talking in the tens to hundreds to millions of tracts at a time that we print. And so because of that, the logistics of making this list of tracts that we need to print, because we're trying to hit these quantities to be able to get the cheapest price per piece. Sometimes a tract that we print, all in the cost, if we were to print 10,000 of them, we could be looking at almost 20 cents a track. Mm-hmm. But because we're able to print 100 and 200 and 300 and 500,000 at a time, that price is cut well below in half. Mm-hmm. And so it's amazing to see how we're able to save money by just being prepared and being having that proper organization to schedule properly.
And to give people an idea, as far as, some real rough numbers right now, if we were to print, let's say 1,000 of our normal tracks, like let's say the New Birth or something like that, if we were to print 1,000 of those, probably the best way for us to do that would be to print them in-house. Which we're talking just paper and ink costs. You got to realize that there's so many other costs. There's design time, there's to keep the electricity that runs the machine, and all these, the staffing and putting them in boxes, all that type of stuff. But just paper and ink cost alone, that New Birth Gospel Tract, one of those standby, written by Paul Levine back in the day. You tell me if I'm wrong, but we could be somewhere close to 8 cents a piece or something like that for, say, 1,000 of them. And that's not shipped to you, that's nothing. That's just, here they are sitting in front of us. If you were to add staffing cost into cutting and folding them, it'd probably be closer to 10 cents a piece or somewhere around there. Whereas if we were to print a large quantity of 100,000 or 200,000 of, maybe we add some other tracts in with it and do a gang run, meaning we bash them together, our paper and ink cost can get south of 5 cents a piece, 4.5, 4 cents, depending on the circumstance. Realize, I've probably mentioned this before, but our print costs have literally doubled in the last 15 or 18 months or so. Now, to God be the glory, we're not stopping the ministry. We're going to continue doing things. But one of the amazing things is that because we're very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very intensive about how we price shop things around. Now you say, hold on, I thought you guys printed all those gospel tracts in-house. Now there's multiple reasons, and I don't have time to get into the long explanation of economics of it, but oftentimes because of the quantities that we're printing, instead of going out and buying literally a $2.5 million machine, we need to pay probably $75,000 a year pressman. We'd probably need 1 or 2 of those people. One thing goes wrong on a machine like that, you got $40,000 repair bill. We can print for just about the same cost per piece at the quantities we need by having some great companies in our area do these jobs. And so just very quickly, in maybe the last minute or so, just talk about how seriously we take God's people's money. We're not frivolous with it. We try to cut every single, because what do they say, ounces make pounds and pennies make dollars. Talk to us about how serious we are about that and how much we oversee that.
Yeah, so again, going back into the printing of tracts specifically, we shop around. We don't ever just, this is the company we use, and so that we stay with them. We try to get at least 3 different bids for the project that we're going towards or moving towards. I am constantly negotiating with people and asking them, hey, we're a nonprofit. Do you have anything for that? We don't have a lot of funds. We're trying to manage this, and thankfully, the Lord has just really blessed, and because of Brother Micah's oversight and just us working together as a team, we have been able to save thousands and tens of thousands of dollars annually, and just changing little things here and there. And part of that is the scheduling of keeping track of the inventory, knowing what we need to order, seeing a tract that, hey, really, we're not really low on it, but we need to order it now because we will be low on it in 3 months, and we're not going to order for another 6 months for a large order. And so we need to put that one on this order, and we're able to print it for significantly less than printing it.
You're exactly right. And at the end of the day, what this comes down to is the biblical principle of being a good steward. That's what we're trying to do on behalf of you. Those of you that participate and donate to this ministry, financially partner with us, pray with us, regardless. I want to say thank you so very much for being a part of Bible Tracts Incorporated. Join us next week on the Bible Tract Echoes radio program. Thank you, Brother Austin. We'll talk to you very soon.